Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I got to chat with one of my favorite people, June Carryl. She's a writer and actress who you've seen in everything from Nash Bridges to Time-Traveling Bong to Scandal, and more recently, Snowfall and Startup. We had a great chat about what makes honest, impactful writing, what themes draw her to plays and theater, and what it's like to audition and collaborate on creative work. It's a really great chat, and I hope you enjoy. Hi, this is Les.
Hi, Les. This is June Carryl.
Hi, June.
Hi.
Thanks. Doing great. Thank you so much for taking out the time today. I really appreciate it.
Actually, I appreciate
it. So, in looking through your bio, I was really struck. Well, you have an absolutely fantastic story towards landing in Hollywood. I mean, obviously, everybody starts at poli-sci at Brown, and gets their PhD in English Lit. It's like doing a Law and Order episode. Like everybody does it. What was the path in kind of changing interests, or was it an evolution of the same interest? I can see where poli-sci and English Lit might be kind of two sides of a language coin.
Right.
What was the evolution of your curiosity there that got you from poli-sci at an Ivy League school to going from Denver to Rhode Island to the Bay Area to teach acting?
Right. You're right. It's they are two sides of the same coin. I discovered I had the opportunity to talk about the things that bothered me as an actor in a way that I couldn't in political science. The numbers I'm not good with numbers, but I am good with words, especially writing them and getting to say other people's words, though I was shy about doing it at first because I was very shy growing up. I got to do a protest play, and I got to be angrier than I'd ever shown myself to be in my sort of waking life. And I got to articulate something that really bothered me, and I got to express something that really bothered me. And it was just, we were just talking about the state of the world, but I mean, who doesn't when they're 22, right? And I just was hooked by the possibility that I could say things. I could give myself permission to speak. And then, you get, when you read a story that strikes you and you are invited to be a part of that story, a play or a screenplay, then you really get to dive in to this other psyche. And so you've got that other psyche is kind of your armor. You don't have to be you saying, look, this is something about the world that bothers me. This is something about the world that pisses me off, because that's dangerous. People do that all the time and they get in trouble for it. But when you do it as an actor, you have an armor and a freedom that I think I just deep down aspired to. Like I'd always, I probably always wanted to be an actor. I just didn't know what it was I wanted. Because like when we were kids, we would like jump around on the sofa and play Star Wars, and or Star Trek. And like my sister is an incredible storyteller, and we would play at being other people as kids. I didn't realize that until I was actually asked to do it, that it was something that I really, 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 really hungered to do. So just getting drafted like that gave me that excuse to run in that direction. That's kind of a long-winded answer, but that's what it was.
So do Do you think it was always a kind of twin interest in both performing, but also getting to create what you perform?
I think so. Yes, because the other thing that I felt hamstrung by in poli-sci was the theory was great, and I was really good with theory. Again, bad with numbers, great with theory. I could spin out in a direction as with regard to a theory I had about the world, but I had no place legitimately to put it in political science. I could explore and I could be really creative, but there really wasn't room for that. When I got drafted into playwriting because I wrote a play for my midterm for this dramatic writing class, I think that was that the door just kind of opened up there. This little magic box that said, hey, that thing that is bothering you that you don't necessarily want to say, you stand there and say with your words, with your mouth, there's a place for that, and it's called playwriting. There's room for that. So that theory that kind of stretches on into these weird linguistic tics of mine actually had a place. And so, it was, they're equal. People always ask, like, so which are you? Are you a writer or are you an actor? And I'd say I don't choose because it's all storytelling. And so I guess maybe what I am is an aspiring storyteller.
I had seen on your bio, it was a line that really was kind of self-deprecating and stopped me, that your first play was a disaster.
It was a disaster.
And I, as a writer myself, one of the things I think everybody struggles with is this perfectionism in your head that, that what you write is going to be terrible. And so as soon as you run into a problem with it and it confirms that in your head, and then you bail on a project, or do you remember, not so much I don't really care what was wrong with your first play, but do you remember what helped you get to writing your second play?
I think I was just so mad about the first one. I was so mad about the first one. I was like, no, I'm not going away. I'm going to get this. That's what it really was that. I was just so mad about the first failure that I was like, no, I'm going to prove I can do this. And I've been doing it ever since, trying to prove it ever since.
Did you feel like you just didn't quite have the structure dialed in, or were you unhappy with how you roared out your content, or?
Well, no, it was, it was part of my schoolwork, and the play didn't get accepted into the, brown bag, it was like a second stage, like we did a main stage play, and then there was this, sort of, staged readings, and it didn't get into either one, and I was so hurt. I was so mad. So I think it was structure. I think it was, it wasn't, no, the thing was just a mess. In every way it could be. Language-wise, it was interesting, but the characters didn't quite do anything, so there wasn't really a story. I didn't know what I was doing, so it just failed. It was a failure. It just was. And when I look back at it now, I'm like, oh, that's what she meant. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. It was an objective failure.
When you look back over, sometimes ongoing themes in your work can be hard to see, while you're in process. But when you look back over your writing, what do you find draws you to the seed of a story, or what tends to grab you that you think that's a play? I should have characters do that.
I should have characters do that. I think it's actually the thing that's the most wrong with my plays. It's this sense of injustice. Things happen to people. They get sort of swept away by events and things that are so completely out of their control. and they don't die because of it. You know, you think the easiest thing in the world is to give up and just stop living. You know, it's like when I see folks who are homeless, or when I see somebody who is struggling with mental disorder, and they keep walking and talking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are stripped to the bone. They have nothing but the clothes on their back. Sometimes they don't even have shoes, but they keep walking and talking. I think I have this obsession with injustice and this obsession with the things that happen to people that overwhelm us but don't quite kill us. I think what it leads to, and part of what was wrong with that first play, was a fascination with characters who are passive receivers of the slings and arrows. I don't say this in a patting myself on the back way, but they're a little bit like Hamlet. They spend the whole play thinking about what's wrong, and they don't actually do anything. And so it's something that's what I'm starting to see the light. I'm starting, there's a little pinhole of light. I'm starting to see a shift in that, where the characters are discovering their power. But it's been really hard. But yeah, to answer your original question, yeah, I am fascinated with injustice. I am fascinated with all of the things that can go wrong in a life, and that somehow we keep living anyway.
Can you talk a bit about your audition process, or the collaborative nature of working in theater, television?
There was this thing that I got to do. It's called Dead Women Walking, and it's by Hagar Ben Asher. And it's it's 9 stories about women who are incarcerated and on death row. And the audition process for that seems to be most representative of my experience in the audition process, which is, this director, she's amazing. She handed me this first bit of material, and she sent me the first bit of material, and I worked on it, and I think was lucky enough to get a call back, because this was just to see who she wanted to see for callbacks, and got in the room with her, and we just talked. We just talked about how she came to writing about these women, and I just got the chance to soak up stories, like what you do in the audition process. I'm sure you know this. You try and give this characters a history, right, based on what you see on the page, because most of the time that's all you get, those few, that 1 or 2 pages. And so you got to make up a whole story, and you try to, you can do a timeline. At this point in history, if I have this person right, then X thing might have happened in the world, Y happened in the world, Z happened in the world. How do I relate to those things? Where was I physically? Where was I mentally? Where was I emotionally? You try and get as much of that story as you can, and then the rest is imagination. If it were me, given that geography that I just kind of sketched out for myself, how might I react? How might I come at these words that are coming out of my mouth? But you can't make it all. It's not you. It's this other person. So you have to be as careful as you can not to take over the story. because nobody cares about June. Nobody cares about June. They're not writing about June. They're writing about this person who is on death row, who killed someone and got on death row. Can I imagine being that angry? Yes. But I didn't do that, because otherwise I'd be on death row, right? But can I imagine, to the extent that I can imagine, those are the emotions that I would lend to this. And then I kind of came at it that way. And then Hagar gave me an adjustment. So what if this? What if this? What if this? And we just, this incremental play. It was such a great audition. It was such a great audition process that she afforded me, and I suspect everyone who got to be involved in the project. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't know that answers the question, but it was just one of those real back and forth. It was a conversation. The audition was actually a conversation, that really helped me grow into the character in the room. It was neat.
Do you feel like that's been similar to most of your audition experiences, or did that stand out as?
Yeah, the ones where I'm the most, where I do my best work, it's those are the most successful. The ones that are a conversation. Sometimes, one of the first things I did when I was up in the Bay Area was this girl who I got to play this girl who is a gangbanger, and this character stayed with me for weeks afterward, and it was not fun. But I remember the director having the same kind of conversation with me, where he wasn't giving me the answers. He wasn't saying, this is what I want you to do,
Making
But he was like, how do you connect to this? Okay, now take you out of it and just use the fact that it's her, those are the most satisfying, and I think probably where I do my best work. Yeah.
In terms of your own writing or your own plays, do you have anything going now? I can't imagine that it's gotten, there's still injustice definitely happening in the world.
Yeah.
If anything, how do you, when things seem to get worse over an arc, how do you not just write plays in all caps that are just scream? How do you refine back ideas and yet keep it topical and keep it, like you say, getting to really say something about these topics in a way that poli-sci papers people just don't read.
Right. Well, I think probably what helps is, again, conversation, because it is a conversation. When you write something, it's not done until somebody sees it or somebody reads it. And so in those instances where I'm lucky enough to get an audience together, get a group of people in the room together, people will tell you what they're responding to, and when the all caps just isn't working. I'm so lucky, so blessed. I started working on this play back in 2007 about Zimbabwe. And there's a company here in town, Lower Depths Theater Ensemble, that is helping me develop the play. And so we're planning a second in-house reading. And this company is where I want the play to live, and I hope that it will turn into a full production. But right now, what we've done is we've had two in-house. We've had an in-house reading, and then they were kind enough to turn me over to their in-house dramaturg, and we just talked about the play and story points that weren't clear for him. And I went back and I edited those things, and this is a play that's got it's got Ndebele and Shona and puppetry and dance. And we just talked about well, what's working and where are the all caps just not translating? And we're going to do another in-house reading. And so that's how you know. You audience will tell you, even if it's just an audience of one. It's like sometimes my boyfriend is kind enough to read my stuff, and he'll tell me what he understands, what doesn't make sense, what's reading, what's not reading. And so as long as you keep in conversation with someone, you can find the humanness. Yeah, you can find the humanness. Yeah, you can find what makes people still be human.
I think you hit the nail on the head. The thing that I forget sometimes, and that I notice in writing, wow, I know what you forgot, is that you can't just yell out. It's got to be a conversation, or the other person will leave. Nobody wants to be yelled at.
Right. Even when you think they're wrong.
Mm-hmm. It can be a very loud conversation, and you can both be in all caps, but it's still got to be a conversation.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I would say, yeah. Yeah, it has. The only thing we've got at the end of the day is our words.
Yeah, that's
right.
About the only thing I have any control over.
Anyway, that's the only thing we have any control over. Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking out time to say words to me today.
Sally, thank you for talking to me. It's really kind of you.
I had a great time, and
me too.
At some point, I will have to figure out a way to be in LA or the Bay Area or something and catch a June Carryl play.
Oh yeah, please, yes. Well, you have to tell me so that I can get you a comp.
Oh yes,
you'll be my guest.
Yes. No, as a low-paid podcaster, I am all about comp things.
Dude, yes. All right, then done and done.
Have a great rest of your day. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. You
Bye.
too. All right. Bye.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.